Greetings and welcome to Just Driving. And this time on Just Driving, as you can see, we have traded up from a jalopy all the way to a Euro Truck Simulator 2 truck. Oh yes, that's right, we are going to take to the road in some trucking driving glory. And why are we doing this? Well, we will return to jalopy, but jalopy's kind of light-hearted. Yeah, it's like a nice Eastern European road trip, but you know what? I'm feeling a little bit somber this week. I'm feeling a little bit downhearted for perhaps obvious reasons. And also, I wanted to show a tiny, tiny little bit of solidarity. I wanted a gesture. I wanted to make a gesture toward my European brethren, and the best thing that I could come up with was buying Euro Truck Simulator 2. So that's what I did. I bought Euro Truck Simulator 2. I did it last Friday. The 52% of the UK may want to leave Europe, but I don't, and I'm going to buy Euro Truck Simulator 2 to prove it. And I suggest that everyone else out there who believes in Europe and believes in an integrated, continent of Europe in which we all get on and agree to live by the same rules and tackle the many and various problems that face our continent and indeed our entire world together. If all of you and I go out and buy Euro Truck Simulator 2 to prove that fact, maybe SCS, I think that's the people who make this game, will have so much money that they'll be able to buy Britain and return it to its place in Europe. I don't know. It's probably a crazy plan right there. But at any rate, we have Euro Truck Simulator 2 and we're going to play it. And look at this. Look at this guy here. I mean, this profile picture alone, this came with the game, right? This came with the game. When I created this account here, when I created this profile and I was looking through the profile pictures, this guy stood out as most blatantly, obviously, a wizard. I mean, that right there is a wizard. And I don't think anybody would even begin to argue with that fact. And frankly, it validates the entire game as far as I'm concerned. I am, of course, Weird Wizard Dave, a newbie, level 0, driven distance 0 miles, rating 0.0. This is my preferred truck, but I don't think I actually own this truck yet. I've got 2,362 euros. My garage is actually in Edinburgh, and we're going to go for a drive. So let's do it. Look, we need to pick up a job market because, as I said, I don't actually own a truck, so I just need to take a job for somebody else. I think what we're going to do, we're going to stick within the UK. Because, there is currently a UK. I mean, whether the UK will continue to exist, we will have to wait and see. But whilst it does exist, we're going to take the opportunity to drive Edinburgh to Carlisle. For those who are not familiar with British geography, yes, geography, that's the correct word. Edinburgh is in Scotland, Carlisle is in England. It is a fairly northerly point in England, but it is within England. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take potatoes from Edinburgh to Carlisle. Take the job. The job has been taken. So I'm not sure exactly how long this is going to take. I think the scale is like 1 to 20 or 1 to 16 or something, so it won't take the actual hours and hours that it would take to drive to Carlisle from Edinburgh. I'm not sure how accurately Edinburgh has been simulated either. I'd be surprised if they had done the whole of Europe, particularly in detail. Oh, what do you think of my truck, by the way? This is obviously not my truck. This is the truck that I'm borrowing. It's a bit plasticky, if I'm honest with you. Is that that is a CD player up above me. I mean, that's alright. My actual car has a tape player in it, believe it or not. It still has a tape player in it, amazingly. I've got no passenger with me, it's just me. This is the truck that we can sort of look at the side, and it's very nice. We could take a look at the outside if we wanted to. Look, there we go. It's lovely, and it's full of potatoes, and we are going to take those potatoes to Carlisle. I mean, astonishingly, right now, that's not going to involve a border crossing. But we now live in a world where that seems like an eminent possibility. It now seems actually quite likely that within, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, Britain will leave the EU, and then Scotland will leave Britain, and the UK will be no more. There will be no United Kingdom anymore. Or Great Britain for that matter. Frankly, I don't know what anyone's going to call themselves anymore. I mean, Scotland can still call itself Scotland, but England can't call itself England as long as it still includes Wales and possibly Northern Ireland, although the Northern Irish are also now making noises about possibly having a referendum and going their own way and staying part of Europe, which frankly I don't blame them for. I've already crashed. I'm not I'm not like an experienced truck driver, I have to say. I'd never really particularly considered. Look, I'm trying to drive here. What do you get out of my way? You there, freaky-looking, scary person. I am driving, and I am in a bigger vehicle than you, and therefore I have right of way. Look, let's gear up. What gear are we in? Yeah, as I said, I've never really driven a truck before. I have done the tutorial, which involved driving around the corner, so I'm pretty sure that will have taught me everything that I need to know. I do have a sequential gearbox here. I'm also controlling it with an Xbox 360 controller, which purists may find a hideous idea. But I couldn't find my steering wheel. I do have a steering wheel. Now, admittedly, I've not seen that steering wheel probably in, I don't know, 10 years? Maybe longer? Probably not that long, maybe 5 years. And it was an old, like, Ferrari force feedback steering wheel from the late 90s. Really nice, actually. Really nice bit of kit. But I just haven't been driving games particularly of late, and therefore I didn't bother to get the wheel out, and I've moved house at least twice since I last saw it. Who knows where it could be? It's probably in a box somewhere. Maybe it has been abandoned. And at any rate, even if I had my wheel, I wouldn't be able to do this. Like, not easily anyway. I'd have to take my hand off the wheel and, like, go to the... Oh, hold on. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. We also need to turn left here. Look, we're going on to the A720. For those of you not familiar with Edinburgh, the A720 is also known as the Edinburgh Bypass. It's like the road that runs around the city. It's not actually a ring road, even though I continually call it a ring road to the chagrin of many of my friends, because it's not a ring, and it doesn't go all the way around, because, you know, it can only really bypass the city. The other side of the city is the Firth of Forth, and is largely water, and therefore not generally conducive to the driving of motor vehicles, except maybe if you own a Tesla. Apparently, although they don't recommend it, the fully sealed up Teslas can, in a pinch, be used as a boat, which I think is pretty awesome. I mean, frankly, that's amazing. Of course, on the flip side, Tesla has also been the first self-driving car, or sort of self-driving car, to be involved in a fatal accident, which is a bit of a blow to the whole self-driving car industry, I suspect. But in the end, this was always going to happen. There was always going to be accidents, and some of them will be fatal. At the end of the day, roads are complicated places, and the technology is new. To be fair to Tesla, their technology is labelled as a beta update that you have to opt into, and it does say that you should keep your hands on the wheel at all times. Obviously, they need to look at the technology. It shouldn't have missed the fact that there was a whopping great truck next to it. I, obviously, as a truck driver, am a little bit concerned about this, so I'll be keeping my eyes open for any Tesla motor cars out there. But in the end, self-driving technology is inevitable. It is, even now, even with this accident, it is still safer than human drivers, and it will just get better and better as time goes on. And as somebody who has to drive hundreds of miles across the country to see his parents from Edinburgh to Oxford at least 2 or 3 times a year, the sooner it comes, the better, as far as I'm concerned. It is just an absolute necessity, because most people on the road are absolute numpties, except, of course, for me. I'm amazing, as both a regular car driver and a truck driver, as I think I just demonstrated with that rather smooth overtaking maneuver. And indeed, the upcoming exiting from this dual carriageway to follow the signs towards Carlisle. I'm not sure exactly which route it's taking me. It looks like it's a cross-country route. This is basically the way that I would go when I drive home, by the way. Like, I would go across to the M6 and then down the M6, which takes you past Carlisle. At least I assume this is going to take us to the M6. Like, we're just going to take this corner. Smooth. Oh, no, not quite. All right. What was I saying about being an amazing driver? Of course I am an amazing driver. I was just being extra cautious there because I thought I caught in my mirrors a Tesla or something. That's my excuse anyway. It's a terrible excuse, and I'm not expecting anyone to believe in it, which is pretty much what I thought about the Leave campaign, and indeed the prospects of the UK leaving the EU. And yet here we are, inexplicably, we have somehow managed to vote to leave the EU. I honestly don't know what people were thinking. I followed the campaign. I think that basically almost everything the Leave campaign was saying was either appealing to people's nationalism, which I always thought was kind of dangerous, because people do respond to that sort of thing, even if it wasn't necessarily true. In fact, most of it was just myths and nonsense, basically. And I think even the Leave campaigners, I mean, even Boris Johnson, it seems now, did not actually either expect to or even really want to leave the EU. I think he was expecting it to be close, but that we would remain and that he would then get kind of, political capital out of it. Well, it didn't work out too well, did it, Boris? Didn't work out too well at all. He is now well and truly out of the picture, I think. As is so much of our political establishment. I mean, this is perhaps the most crazy thing about the whole referendum. In the end, it just seems to have been people voting against the status quo. It's almost like a pro-anarchy vote, which I can kind of understand that, actually. Of any of the reasons for voting Leave, that's the one that sort of finds a core of me that is quite excited by it. There is an anarchic core to me. There is a bit inside that thinks that our current political and economic systems are not fit for purpose and need to be torn down and recreated. But the rest of me realizes that actually we would be much, much, much better served finding a way to replace those systems calmly, and in a sensible, thought-out way, rather than just kind of tearing it all down, which could lead to just absolute chaos and disorder. As has already been seen in our political system in this country, where we basically have the two top political parties are more or less tearing themselves apart. Which is pretty crazy, really, if you think about it. They have essentially fallen to pieces, and there doesn't seem to be a voice out there anymore. Anyway, I'm now just talking complete incoherent gibberish, which is not the point of this exercise. So I'm going to stop talking about EU for a moment, and instead focus on the beautiful countryside. Look at this beautiful countryside that we're driving in. This is not entirely unlike the countryside would be. I'm not entirely sure. I'm completely messed up my gears here. Hold on. I'm not entirely sure what road I'm on now. Does my sat-nav tell me at all? Oh, I've just been overtaken. I assume it's a road somewhere. It's definitely a road somewhere. I assume we're going across, basically, to link up with the M6, and then we'll go down the M6 to Carlisle. That is the way that I would normally go down to Oxford. I would go down the M6, and indeed that would take me past Carlisle along the way. Sometimes I take the motorway across, sometimes I'll go cross-country, which is what I seem to be doing today, what the sat-nav has told me to do. Obviously, when I go cross-country, I get very annoyed at the trucks who also go cross-country and drive along at 30 miles an hour in a 60-mile-an-hour road. Causing a massive tailback of traffic. Fortunately, there only seems to be maybe one car behind me. Let's see if we can pick up the pace here a little bit. We're not going to be one of those truckers who pootles along at 30 miles an hour on a 60-mile-an-hour road. We're going to be doing 60 or close to 60. The truck does not seem to be capable of doing 60 or close to 60. It seems to have been more or less maxed out at 38 miles an hour. Come on, truck. Put some welly into it. More power, more and greater power. Obviously, whilst my country has been falling apart around me, and the only politician left in the country who I can identify with at all, and who seems to be actually have her head screwed on, and be talking sense, and really trying to, articulate a position that I personally believe in, is Nicola Sturgeon of the SNP. Now, I voted to stay in the UK when the Scottish referendum came up, and I was pretty passionate about that as well. And I still say that would be my look. He's trying to overtake me, and you're not going to overtake me, car. Oh no! I've now found a new gear. I'm now up to 54 miles an hour. We're tearing along. We're running off the side of the road slightly, but it's all good. He's probably terrified by our terrible driving right now. As I am terrified by the fact that, like I said, I find myself in the peculiar position of actually liking Nicola Sturgeon. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think she's probably a perfectly nice individual, but I disagreed with her politics. I disagree with the idea that Scotland should be an independent country, much like I think that the UK is stronger and better in Europe, and we are stronger and better when we work together with larger organisations and groups of people, and that is the only way that we'll solve the problems of the world. I also thought that Scotland was stronger and the UK was stronger with it, together in a union. It has worked well all this time, and it continues, and I see no reason why it shouldn't continue to work well. Except, of course, in the eventuality... Oh, I've just brought up a map. Hold on. Let's slow it down. Except, of course, in the eventuality of the UK leaving the EU. And then all of a sudden, like, all bets are off. It's like, okay, well, which union do I most want to be a part of? Now, I could be a part of the UK, obviously. We could be a part of the United Kingdom. And if the worst happens and the United Kingdom completely leaves the EU, and I mean completely, look, we're on the M6, and I mean completely leaves the EU, no freedom of movement, no common market, all of the rest of it, which I still think is actually relatively unlikely. I think what we're going to get in the end is probably a worst of all worlds scenario where we still have, well, I say worst of all worlds, for me it would be the best possible thing short of actually being in the EU itself. But for those who voted leave, or for a lot of those who voted leave, I think they're going to be thoroughly disappointed when it turns out that we still need to have, we still need to be in the single market, we still need to allow free movement of people, we still need to contribute significant sums of money to the EU, but we lose our voting power, we lose our influence, and generally speaking, you know, we're sort of on the outside, but we're still required to kind of do all those things that everyone seems to be particularly upset about, even though, why they were upset about them, I don't know. Look, Carlisle is coming up. It's this turning. We are nearly at Carlisle already. So, you know, if that happens, okay, you know, maybe it's not so bad in the end. But if that doesn't happen, if the UK genuinely fully leaves and we have no more freedom of movement, we lose our EU citizenship, our right to work. Oh, I've done it again. I'm going to have to change that. It's like down on the D-pad, so when I try and indicate, I accidentally trigger it. You know, if we lose our right to live and work in the EU and EU citizens lose their right to live and work here, then frankly, in that scenario, I think I would back Scottish independence, because it is the lesser of two evils. If I have to be part of only one of those two unions, I choose the EU. You know, I choose and I think probably the majority of Scotland will choose the EU as well. I think the combination of the nationalists who would vote independence anyway, and the people who, you know, would love to stay as part of the UK, but if they have to choose between the UK and Scotland, the UK and the EU, they will choose the EU, and I think that's perfectly reasonable and justified. And it's pretty much what my position is going. Look, I've completely messed up the gears whilst I've been ranting along. Look, I've just been like bouncing off the Rev Limiter, unable to accelerate to any kind of sensible speed, being overtaken by many, many people. Maybe this is why trucks go so slowly. Maybe they're all truck drivers are just driving along, ranting about the various problems with the world in which they live. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all. So yeah, there we go. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. It's been heavily on my mind for the last week though, and that's one of the reasons why the videos haven't been coming out so regularly. Genuinely, I've been depressed about it. You know, I mean, I've been frustrated. I've been annoyed. I mean, watching. Look, I've committed a speeding offence. Watching the self-destruction in the political system here has just been ridiculous. It seems like there is no Remain voice left. There is no pro-European voice left, which is just bizarre. It seems like, you know, you've got in the media them saying, oh, we've had a decisive victory for leaving the EU, and like Britain has spoken. Britain has not spoken. 52% of Britain has spoken. Look, I think this is my arrival point. Just slow it down. So watching things develop, watching the Conservative Party self-destructing, watching the Labour Party even more self-destructing, has all just been thoroughly disappointing, frustrating, and disillusioning thing. And obviously making especially my more light-hearted videos is quite tricky when you're not feeling particularly light-hearted. So you know, I've done my best to keep up with it a bit, and as things settle down, of course, there will be more and more videos. And I apologise for the lack of videos up until now. Look, we're going to have to do a bit of reverse parking here. I'm going to have to demonstrate my incredible reverse parking skills. Now, I did the tutorial, and I had to do some reverse parking in the tutorial, and it took me ages, but I kind of got the hang of it in the end. We want the back to turn that way, so we want the wheels this way, I think, and we want to be in reverse, obviously. Let's go into reverse. There we go. Now we're in reverse. Back her up. Back her up. Yeah. Oh yeah. Not too far now, but a bit more than that. Oh, no, this way again. I think I've messed it up already. Okay. Forward again. Forward again. Forward we must go. And we must straighten her up a bit. Let's get it like this. Right, this time we're going to do it. You wait and see. Now we want the back to come around, so we want to go this way. We want to straighten up. Oh yeah. Oh my god. Have you ever seen anything quite so perfectly done? It's near perfection. I think it might actually be perfection. Oh, it is perfection. It's amazing. Why? To unhook. Down goes the legs. And we're done. Potatoes delivered from Edinburgh to Carlisle. 104 miles covered. 3 hours and 12 minutes that took, regardless of what you may think. Fuel consumed 83.5 litres. Fantastic. Wow. What a drive. I really enjoyed that. I mean, I wasn't sure that I was going to enjoy a truck simulator, if I'm honest. It's one of the reasons why I haven't bought one in the past. But a few people who I respect did so. I watched Octopie's review of, I think it was American Truck Simulator, or possibly it was Euro Truck Simulator. At any rate, it made it look really fun, and I thought, that began the notion in my mind that I might do this, and I'm actually really glad that I did. Plus, solidarity and all that. Obviously, I've got a lot more opinions on Europe. Like I said at the beginning, or at least I thought I meant to say, if you were a vote leaver, I don't mean to cause offence. I understand that people have, various opinions on this. Part of the problem with the whole thing, of course, is that, people weren't talking about the ideological questions. Instead, they were talking about, there was scaremongering on both sides. The whole campaign was just utterly drivel from both sides. And I'm not surprised that, that people weren't sure what sort of decision to make. And this is the situation that we live in now. This is the reality of the world. I'm still trying to process it. I'm still trying to sink in. As far as I'm concerned, I will always be European, and if there is a way for me to maintain that status legally, then I will take that measure, whether it be voting for an independent Scotland, whether it be voting in a government at the next election that promises to reverse the results of the referendum, or not enact the results of the referendum, which I really hope emerges. I think it's actually really disappointing that we don't have any pro-European voices in politics at the moment making that statement that it is not too late, and that until Article 50 is invoked, and indeed until we have actually left, there is still the opportunity for us to step back from the edge. And I hope that we do that. But I think I've probably ranted on enough. I have taken up enough of your valuable time. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I have been Weird Wizard, and I will see you later.